Hi there, my name is Kate de Jong at Fempire International. Today I'm presenting to you on the topic of the future is female and why now is the time for female entrepreneurs to step up and thrive in business. So a quick overview of my presentation. I'm going to be telling you about why we believe the world needs more successful female entrepreneurs. I'm going to be sharing 5 unique challenges that female entrepreneurs face. And then I'm going to give you tips on how to thrive as a female business owner and make a positive impact. So firstly, who is Fempire? What is Fempire International? We are an unapologetically female-focused brand. We know that women do things differently. We do business differently. We think differently. We act differently. We make different choices. And therefore, there is a need for women to be supported in business by women, because it's only women that truly get how other women think and feel. That's certainly been our experience and the experience of all our hundreds of clients across Australia and internationally who are experiencing the power of being coached by a woman who's been there and done it before. So we are all about supporting female entrepreneurs to achieve the success they deserve. Now, as I said, we believe the world needs more successful female entrepreneurs, and the reason for that is, in my view, captured in this yin-yang symbol. So we all know that yin and yang together create harmony, balance, and wholeness. Now, at the moment in the business world, as I'll show you through facts and figures, we have an oversupply of yang in the business world. There is so much yang and very little yin when it comes to business leadership. And therefore, our world is out of balance. Our corporate institutions, our global institutions are out of balance. They're out of harmony. They're not making decisions that are necessarily the best for the greater whole or the greater good. And we believe that when you bring more yin, more feminine energy into the business world, into the business leadership levels, we are going to experience more global harmony. There is going to be better worldwide decisions for the greater good of all. Now, I'm going to share with you, hopefully, some evidence that proves why this is so. Now, some of you might have already heard the Dalai Lama's famous saying that he said at the Global Peace Summit, the Vancouver Peace Summit, sorry, in 2009. He's on record as saying the world will be saved by the Western woman. Now, it was a very interesting statement. And why did he say that in particular? Now, women are naturally drawn to the roles of what the Dalai Lama says we need more of globally. So, well, David Orr here in the quote on the left says, "The planet does not need more successful people. The planet desperately needs more peacemakers, healers, restorers, storytellers, and lovers of all kinds." And women are naturally drawn to these roles. We don't need more billion-dollar business women or businessmen. What we need is a restoration of harmony globally. And what that's going to take at a leadership level is bringing more feminine energy into global business decisions. And because women are naturally drawn to these roles of peacemakers, healers, restorers, this is why the Dalai Lama said at his Peace Summit, if you read the article that he spoke this quote in context, he's talking about how we need women to we're naturally drawn to these roles so we can bring these qualities of feminine leadership into the global business leadership space. And why did he say specifically the Western woman? Now, he didn't say this to exclude other women. What he was saying is that Western women have a unique position of privilege because we've typically grown up in developed, we have grown up in developed countries. We've had all the opportunities, and therefore we are in a unique position to take advantage of this time to step up in leadership. And we can help give a leg up to those women who have been in underdeveloped countries who haven't been so fortunate. Perhaps they haven't been able to go to university. Perhaps they haven't had the opportunities to work in a leadership position. We are in a position as Western women of privilege, and we need to use that privilege to give the rest of the women globally a leg up. And that is what he was talking about. Now, just to clarify, the future is female does not mean that we exclude men. Absolutely not. As I'm going to show you, women's empowerment is good for women, but it's also good for men, for families and economies. It's good for everybody. This quote by Sandra Sully in the Huffington Post in 2017 says it all. This is not a race where women are running against men. We are not competing. This is not a battle. We are not enemies. Gender equality benefits us all. So why am I personally so passionate about female empowerment? I just want to give you a quick overview of my journey so that you understand where I'm coming from. So I went down a traditionally corporate path. I did a Bachelor of Science, then honours, and then a PhD in water engineering. I worked for 15 years as a consulting engineer on large water projects across the USA, the Netherlands, and Australia. I've travelled and lived overseas many times. I reached senior management at Sinclair Knight Mertz, where I was working as a consulting engineer. I got my way up to a team leader position, then a client manager position, then sat in boardrooms, usually the only female in the room, often the only female in the room. In 2009, I was awarded the Chief Executive Women in Leadership Award because I'm passionate about helping those women coming through behind me to rise up the ranks. But in my mid-30s, I hit burnout. And because I was in a world of overachieving, overdoing, masculine yang energy, and it just was not compatible with me or my energy system. And I came to the conclusion in my mid-30s, in the middle of my burnout, that it's not natural for women to function in a man's world. We need balance in business leadership and more feminine energy. We shouldn't have to smash it out and keep going till we drop. We can bring in self-care, we can bring in the feminine qualities in our workspace, because it's better for everybody when we all, as men and women, feel nurtured and replenished and nourished so that we can deliver better work. It's not about the quantity of time you work, it's about the quality of the time that you put in and the outcomes that you're able to achieve when you are balanced and practicing great self-care. So that was my lesson. It's all about yin and yang in the business world, in the corporate world, in entrepreneurship. We need a balance of feminine and masculine energy. It simply is so. Yin and yang creates harmony. Everything in balance means that we create better decisions, better outcomes. So why particularly do we need more successful female entrepreneurs? So I just want to give you a quick overview of the numbers. All the research out there at the moment shows that more women in business leadership gives better results. Gender equal teams make better decisions and are more effective. Now, this is all based on extensive research. I've given some references down the bottom there. There's 3 very great articles there for you to look up afterwards if you're interested. Gender equal diverse boards and senior management are more profitable. So when you have more women on boards and management teams, the company thrives. It's been proven through the numbers. And interestingly, when men take parental leave from the workplace, both the workplaces and the families reap the rewards. That was really unexpected data that they found in one of these articles, that some organizations find that when men take parental leave, the organization is better off. So that was interesting research. I urge you to look up if you're interested in that. Now, again, continuing on the numbers, more women in the workforce equals stronger economies. Now, this is very clear. Research across 189 countries worldwide showed that gender inequalities across education, income, law, employment, and wages leads to instability and chaos at every level of society. So you can think of those countries where women are suppressed and there is instability and chaos. Countries, on the other hand, that have opened up education to women and brought them into the workforce have much stronger economies. This is proven across the board. And again, there's a couple of references here for you to look up if you want some evidence. Now, Sean Illing, a writer and political theorist at Vox.com, says the single greatest antidote to poverty and social stagnation is the emancipation of women. So it can't be clearer that women and gender diversity, gender equality is good for everybody. It's good for economies. So now that we know that we need more women in business leadership, but what is the current reality? So I'm going to share you some numbers here. So the glass ceiling and women in business leadership. Currently, the number of women in senior business management roles globally was 29% in 2019. Not bad, right? Considering if you were to look back at those numbers from the 50s and 60s, for example, we've come a long way, but it's still only 29%. And when you look at the number of female CEOs in Fortune 500 corporations in the USA, the FTSE 100 index companies in the UK, and the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong Stock Exchange, the numbers are considerably lower, only 6.6% in the US, 6% in the UK, and that 6% is an interesting number that recurs a lot. So very low representation of women in highly successful, high-performing companies. And in Hong Kong, that's 1 in 50. So very, very low representation of women in business. Now, the income of male versus female entrepreneurs is quite stark, the difference. Female entrepreneurs earn 30 to 40% less than men. Here's just some stats that are available. Unincorporated businesses, the average income for women is $522 and for men $831, about a 50% difference. In incorporated business owners, the average weekly income for women was $998 versus men $1451, so a 50% difference. And on top of that, only 45% of women contribute to their superannuation, and they're not building their future wealth, which means that women are not financially stable into their later years, which is a huge problem. So less than half of female entrepreneurs are actively putting money away and building wealth for later. Now, investment backing is really interesting. Investment funding provided to enterprises founded by women gets an average of $935,000. Whereas men, when they apply for funding from investors, get an average of 2.1 million. This is across the board. Funnily enough, though, women have a better return on investment. The data shows that 78 cents per dollar for women is returned on the investment versus only 31 cents for men. So isn't it interesting that even though women get a far better return on the investment, more than double, men are still getting backed more financially. So there is an unspoken prejudice against female startups and entrepreneurs. Even though it's not backed up by numbers, the numbers show that women are very capable and very competent with spending and investing money. 78 cents per dollar return on investment versus 31. So why is it that despite the numbers saying women are actually more competent in the business space, according to these numbers, why do we not receive the investment level that men do? Now, I'm going to explain here are 5 unique challenges that women in business face, which might explain the answer to that question I just asked. Number 1, there is unconscious gender bias globally. Now, this is just a fact, and it's been backed up by many, many books who have researched women in leadership, and some of the facts that I've just presented to you. There is an unconscious gender bias, meaning that people judge women differently at an unconscious level. It's not something they're consciously thinking of. It's the conditioning and the societal patterns that we've grown up with that have resulted in our bias towards women. And both men and women are guilty of this bias simply through societal and environmental conditioning. This is a great little video that I don't have time to share with you now, but I urge you to look it up on YouTube. It's called Always #LikeAGirlUnstoppable. And the question they asked these young girls from the age of 5 through to 25 was, do we limit girls? And they asked them, and they interviewed all these gorgeous little girls about whether they feel limited by society's expectations of women. And I think you'll be quite surprised by the level to which these young girls experience gender bias even at their age. So I highly urge you to watch that. Second challenge that women face is that we struggle with confidence. Now, having coached only women over the past few years, I can say with my hand on my heart that I see this across the board. Apart from the exceptional outliers of women who are absolute confident go-getters, the vast majority of women struggle with confidence. We struggle with imposter syndrome. And it's probably partly to do with the gender bias that is unconscious in our society and that we unconsciously absorb. We as women have less confidence than men. This was a great study, a great TED talk by Thomas Chamorro Premosic. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but at the University of Nevada, TEDx, he gave a talk about why so many incompetent men become leaders. And it's a fascinating talk that I suggest you watch at some point if you're able to, because his answer was confidence. Even when men are incompetent, often they have this ingrained confidence, and it's probably through the unconscious gender bias that we raise these men to really believe in themselves, even if they're incompetent. And therefore, many men just have this natural belief in themselves. And this is where women struggle because of this gender bias. So another great talk I recommend you watch if you're interested in this. Number three, the third challenge that women face, they tend to over-deliver and undercharge. And I've heard this from men and women at senior management levels. Recruitment specialists talk about it when they're interviewing men versus women. Women will always feel that they're underqualified for a role, and they'll try to figure out how they can get that. You know, they might want to go back to university to get the extra qualifications, whereas men, don't believe they need to get extra qualifications. They just naturally believe they can get on and do the job that's required. So this is a pattern. Again, there's evidence out there to show that this is true. And trust me, having worked with women over the last few years, women definitely over-deliver and undercharge. I'm guilty of it myself. And it's a pattern we need to break if we're going to break the glass ceiling for women in business. Number four, the burden of unpaid work still falls largely on women's shoulders. Now, here is just one graph showing the average hours per day that men and women spend on household activities. And it's clearly much higher for women. So on average, women spend more than twice as much time preparing food and drink and doing cleaning, over 3 times as much as doing laundry than men. But it's this unpaid work that burdens women, that prevents them from putting the time into business that they could be doing. So this is another pattern that is shifting globally, and we need to continue to shift such that men can step up and share that burden equally with women, because only then will women be freed up to spend the same amount of time on their business that men do. This is a fantastic survey, which is called Work 180, and it's an overview. It's about 6 pages long. It's a family chores checklist. I've got the link here for you. And it's all the tasks that are involved in raising children and a family and keeping a household running. And you go through and you tick off what you do as a woman and what your partner does, or whatever gender you may be. You can both do this survey. And it highlighted for me very clearly that I was clearly doing the bulk of the household duties, the unpaid work, and it was impacting me and my business. And having some difficult conversations with my husband has allowed us to shift that so that he is doing much more now, and it's allowing me to really thrive in business because of that. Number 5, and the final challenge that I'm presenting today, is what I've heard from many people while researching this topic. Men compete, women collaborate. So men are just naturally born to compete. They love the art of they love the adrenaline of competition. Whereas women, we tend to want to collaborate more. And I've heard this from people, from senior men and women in leadership teams. They say this is just a natural thing. Men naturally want to compete and women collaborate. And that is a fantastic quality. And that's what the Dalai Lama is saying, that we need more collaboration. We need more feminine energy. But this is what's held women back, because we don't often take a stand for ourselves or go in and fight where it's needed. And that's hindered our progress in some way. And so therefore, while women do need to, as Sheryl Sandberg says, lean in a little bit, we also need to bring more feminine energy into business leadership, as I said, because that's when we're going to get true progress, when we can back off on the competition and work towards more collaboration and better outcomes for everybody, not looking out for oneself, but looking out for the greater good. This is exactly what the Dalai Lama was talking about. So now that you know what the unique challenges are, how can you thrive as a female business owner and make a positive impact? So we need you to step up, because when you step up and thrive in business as a woman, you contribute to stronger economies, happier families, better businesses and organizations, and global peace and harmony. So how much more motivation do you need than that? So number one, own your awesomeness. Stop devaluing yourself. Accept compliments. Don't be afraid to tell others what makes you so great. In fact, in business, when you're selling, you have to tell people what makes you so great, and charge what you are worth. Next one is monitor your self-talk. Would you speak to your child the way you speak to yourself? Be kind and gentle to yourself. Cut yourself some slack. Congratulate yourself on your wins. And find a way to be gentle and kind and encouraging towards yourself, not self-critical. The next one, surround yourself with other successful women. Women thrive in community and connection with others. We know this from our experience. Stay away from negative people and choose your wizards wisely. Don't listen to the advice from people who have not done it before you, or are not a few steps ahead of you on the path and have got there successfully. Only listen to those who have been there before and done it and can advise you. The next point is ask for help. Don't try and do everything yourself. You don't have to do it alone. And learning to receive is actually a sign of strength. And you are going to need to accept help as a business owner. You're going to need to bring on a team, eventually outsource. You're going to need virtual assistants. You have to ask for help if you're going to break your revenue ceiling, and learn from others' successes. And finally, you're allowed to earn great money, because money equals impact. Typically, as women, we feel that we shouldn't make too much money because that means we're potentially too ambitious or egocentrical. But when you make lots of money, you can impact more people. So get comfortable with earning great money. You have full permission to earn lots of money. And finally, set goals and follow through. Plan your way to success. Get yourself a great mentor or coach who can keep you accountable and keep you on track and towards your goals. Know where you're going and get ruthless with your time. Prioritize your business if that's what's igniting your passion and setting you on your passion on fire. Make sure you prioritize your business over other things. And figure out what you want to achieve. What is your business vision? What's your mission statement? What are your values? And how does that translate into goals and all the other things you need for your business in terms of planning, scheduling, and budgeting? Get yourself a great coach who can help you work through this and help you stay on track and achieve more than you thought was possible. At Fempire, we are all about providing business coaching for the success-obsessed female entrepreneur. So if that's you, reach out. We are a sisterhood for success. We know that we can thrive and do this together. So to summarize, hopefully you understand now where we're coming from in saying that the world needs more successful female entrepreneurs. These are the 5 unique challenges female business owners face. There's unconscious gender bias. We struggle with confidence. We over-deliver and undercharge and do too much of the unpaid work and tend to collaborate more than compete. And here's what you can do about it. Own your awesomeness, monitor your self-talk, surround yourself with other successful women, ask for help, and go and make lots of money. You're allowed to, you have full permission to. It means you can have more impact. And get a mentor, set goals, and follow through. I'll just finish with this quote. I want every little girl who's been told she's bossy to be told again she has leadership skills. And that's from Sheryl Sandberg at Facebook. So let's create a gender shift, a cultural shift, and get out there and thrive as women in business. And I wish you so much love and success on your journey. Thank you so much, and bye for now.